Welcome to Texas Rye Whiskey Studies by Stab the Dragon Productions for a 3-whiskey shootout. In our last 3 episodes of Texas Rye Whiskey Studies, we have examined the 3 ryes put out by Acre Distilling right here in Fort Worth, Texas, about 15 minutes from my house. And we have paired them with some other ryes just for fun. So tonight, I want to pit these 3 products of Acre Distilling against each other in a Texas shootout. I'll see if I can identify which is which and if I can find a favorite of the 3. We've got Acre Texas Rye 80 proof. This was the first rye that I got at Acre Distilling, and this bottle's probably 5 years old, maybe 6. So I really need to go about finishing it. And this was one of my absolute favorite Texas ryes. This whiskey has got a lot of the Texas funk. Texas funk comes about from the terroir, the heat, the climate, the cold, and what it does to the whiskey in the barrel. There are ways to control that, and the other 2 whiskeys put out, or rye whiskeys put out by Acre, don't have the Texas funk so much at all. This one is loaded with it. If you're familiar with Balcones Texas Rye, this is very close to that, except this is 80 proof and Balcones is 100 proof. So that proof makes a lot of difference, but the basic flavors are here. You get a lot of chocolate, tobacco, leather, dusty barrel notes. You know, this is outstanding. This is one of my favorite all time. But the next rye that Acre put out was a single barrel, and this is a 100 proof rye, finished. It's aged for 4 years, but that last year was in an Acre rum cask. This rye whiskey did not have as much of the Texas funk, if any at all. This is much more closer to a regular rye that you're going to get anywhere, but the rum finish gives it an extra kick. And this is mighty good. In fact, you can see that I've actually consumed more of this than I have the original. And that's because I did share this with a neighbor across the street and a couple of my sons. The third rye that just came out is this one, and it's another 100 proof rye, but not finished in any barrels to note. But this one does not have the Texas funk. This is much more like a traditional rye whiskey. You do get a lot of the evergreen, fir, piney, licorice, notes that are common with rye whiskeys here. Well, this is again very good. So I'm going to see which of these is my favorite. My heart leans towards the original, the 80 proof, because I just love the Texas funk. But we're going to see. So how I've got this arranged, I've got 3 blacked out Glencairns, and number 1 on the bottom is the original 80 proof rye. That's number 1. Number 2 is the second rye that I purchased from Acre, and that's the rum finished 100 proof. Glass number 3 is the most recent product of Acre, the 100 proof Texas rye. So that's how I've got these arranged. I mixed the glasses up, so I don't know which is which. I will start with nosing the glasses, but my nose is terrible. I can't hardly smell whiskeys, so we'll see how far this goes. I'll start left and move to the center and then the right. Oh, this has a wonderful, wonderful nose. If I had to guess, I'm going to say this is the rum finished. I'm getting a little bit of that sweetness. Some typical rye notes and then some of that sweetness. I would think that this is glass number 2 just off the nose, but I don't know for sure. The middle glass. Not getting a whole lot off of that one. And that could be because if it's the 80 proof, it's not going to have as much going on there. So that could be glass number 1. All right. Glass to my right. I'm getting a little bit of rye spice. If I had to guess, this will be glass number 3. All right, that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the middle glass with that last glass, and I will start with the one that was in the middle. So that's now on my right side because that had the lesser nose, which indicates it may be the lesser proof. And so we'll see. Well, the reason I'm doing blacked out glasses is there's enough of a difference here to where I might be able to tell just by looking at them. But and there's not a whole lot of difference, but we'll see. All right, the glass on my right. That is definitely not the 80 proof. That is one of the 100 proofs. That burn was immediate, though pleasant. I'm getting rye notes, but no Texas funk. Now I'm thinking that's glass number 3. All right, let me cleanse my palate. Now, this is the middle glass now after I rearranged them. Not a whole lot of nose, but that could have some Texas funk on the nose. We'll see. That's glass number 1. That's the 80 proof. That has the Texas funk in it from start to last. That's amazing. And why Acre changed, I mean, I get that you want to experiment, you want to try something new, but this was just my favorite rye. All right, I'm real sure that's glass number 1. Just one taste is all that took. All right, the glass to my left. Discerning the differences between the 200 proof ryes may be more of a challenge. Does that have the rum finish or does it not? It's got a strong rye flavor, that's for sure. This is either going to be glass number 2 or glass number 3. That's going to be the challenge. This middle glass, I'm convinced, is number 1, and that's the winner. That's my favorite. That's the 80 proof. So we're fighting for second place here. See if I can identify the rum finished cask. And I am not sure. I think this is glass number 3. And I think this is glass number 1 or glass number 2. I think this is the rum finished, but I'm telling you, it is so close. I'm absolutely certain about glass number 1. I think this is number 2. Let's see. Oh no. Really? This is a disaster. Really? This is glass number 1. I got all these wrong. I got my favorite wrong. No way. This is now a disaster. This is why I don't do 3 whiskeys usually. I've watched videos where guys do 7 or 8 whiskeys. There's no way. I mean, my palate gets completely distorted. So one on my left ends up being number 1, which is the 80 proof favorite. Glass number 2 is the rum finished cask, and I chose that as my favorite of these 3. And then that makes this number 3. So I did guess number 3 correctly, but how I missed up number 1 and number 2, I have no explanation. Well, once again, I've publicly humiliated myself, embarrassed all whiskey tasters everywhere, but oh well. I went through there and said this was my favorite, so I'm going to stick to that, and completely misidentified. So that rum finished rye whiskey was exceptionally good, and so I can see, you know, maybe choosing that as my favorite, but mistaking it for the 8. But see, that 80 proof I did last, and that was the weakest, and by then my palate was messed up. That's just how it was. Now I'm making excuses. Well, in conclusion, it's common for distilleries to make whiskeys that aren't marketed in stores, but are strictly for sale at the distillery. And most distilleries, I think, do that. That's what all 3 of these Acre, Texas ryes are. Each of these ryes is very different, although I obviously had trouble tonight. So it seems like Acre's having fun experimenting with rye, making it different each time, which seems to add to the adventure and the excitement of frequenting your local distilleries. The downside is, if you have a favorite, it will eventually go away, never to return. The takeaway from this is, I would urge you to not just buy national brands from the local big box stores, but visit your nearest small craft distilleries. Give them your business, sample their products. I have purchased more whiskeys from my local distilleries combined than any major brand, and I've enjoyed them immensely. Well, for Texas Rye Whiskey Studies, this is a much humbled Stab the Dragon out here.